Academic pressure from parents might become overbearing for most children, but it is still not the reason to kill an entire family. These teens would go on to take charge of their own fate, only to get caught red-handed.
You're totally unemotional about this. You walk into a house, your whole family's murdered, and you're just, I didn't do it. Why would I do it? I was in my friend's house.
So crying would make you believe that?
I think you're trying to convince yourself.
On February 1st, 2008, Nick arrived at his house with 3 of his friends. At first glance, the house appeared to be burglarized, but soon, a gut-wrenching truth will unfold itself.
You were a stone-cold killer.
As Nick got bored from hanging out with his friends, he asked them to drop him off at his house, which is located in an affluent neighborhood of Cockeysville, Maryland. The 3 boys, Ryan Fingles, Taylor Tewksbury, and Alexander Smith, complied and drove Nicholas Browning to his home, only to make a haunting discovery that would change their lives forever. Watch what the 15-year-olds saw as they entered Nick's home.
So you guys get to back home. What happened then?
Then I opened the garage door. I walk inside.
How did you open the garage door? How do you do that?
That's the code.
Is there? Oh, okay. For the outdoor code, right?
The keypad.
Garage door opens or something. Okay.
And so I walked inside, and then the door was unlocked, which is weird because one of my parents locked the door.
Which door? The door in the
door into the garage.
Kitchen.
Into the kitchen.
Okay, from the garage to the kitchen.
That was locked, so I figured it would be locked, but it wasn't. So I walked in,
okay.
And I saw my father on the couch, and that's sort of okay.
What did you see about that? I know it's tough, but what did you see?
I saw he was on the couch. And there was blood coming out of his face.
Okay, what did you do after that?
Then we talked to Mr. Smith, and he came in the house. And
okay.
He called 911. And I went upstairs, looked for the rest of my mother and my 2 brothers. I saw them.
Okay.
We discovered his dad on the couch, like bloody. His face was really pale. And then we got Mr. Pat, who was about to drive away. He came in, and then he pushed us away from like the dad. So Nick went upstairs, found his mom in the master bedroom, and his 2 brothers in their bedroom, like all bloody. And I was up there too with him. And I was down the hall, and I just took Nick and just brought him outside.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Nick went upstairs.
Nick went upstairs?
Yeah. He wanted to see where everyone else was. So then we all went outside when Mr. Pat was on the phone.
When you went outside, where'd you go?
We stood behind Mr. Pat's truck.
Did you guys go to the back of the house at all?
Yes. We all ran around back.
What did you see back there?
We were gonna see if there's any signs down there. So he opened the door and he saw the Xbox and his.
Who's he? I'm sorry.
Nick.
Okay.
He saw the Xbox and the Wii like on top of each other on the pool table.
I just stayed right by the stairs when you walk in. I didn't want to see anything.
Okay.
And Nick just said he saw blood. And then right as my dad was pulling off, I stopped him.
Something seems off about how all of them kept fidgeting and stuttering, except Nicholas, who is now without a family. Nicholas comes from a rather rich and reputable background, with his father, John Browning, being a respected attorney in Maryland. His mother, Tamara, and 2 younger brothers, Benjamin and Gregory, were the light of the family, all taken away in a cold-blooded, heartless murder.
It would be nice.
Food is it? Check our restaurant here. It's all we eat junk food here. Is that okay?
It's fine.
How about some drink?
Soda would be great.
For someone who has seen his whole family lying in a pool of blood, Nicholas seems to be calmer than expected. His laughter and appetite for food give away a hint of him being emotionally disconnected from the situation. Either he is really good at hiding his emotions, or is not bothered at all. In the other room, his friend Taylor will reveal a dark secret.
Did he say anything to you about anything? Has he had any issues with his parents lately?
Not that I know. I mean, I think he got in trouble like once or twice because of drinking.
Even though almost every teen clashes with their parents and rebels at this age, Nick's drinking problem indicates an underlying behavioral issue. Oftentimes, teenagers with extreme habits have conduct disorder, which is also a precursor of antisocial personality disorder. According to Taylor, Nick's parents have been concerned with their son's drinking habits, pointing to the fact that Nick might be on the road to becoming an alcoholic.
Did you have a gun?
No.
Are you sure?
Not that I saw. I did not see anything.
Did you say or talk about a gun last night?
No.
Are you 100% positive?
Yes.
Okay.
Did not talk about it.
Have you touched a gun in the last 24 hours?
I touched an airsoft gun.
No, a real gun.
No.
Alright. Has Nick ever said anything about his parents abusing or mistreating him or anything like that?
Nope.
Taylor will be the first to uncover details about Nick and his family. 10 minutes later, Alex will jump on the bandwagon.
I remember Nick told his little brothers how he was going to get in to keep the basement door unlocked. That's how he was going to get in the
Did he
keys.
call his little brother?
Yeah, he called.
And that's how he's gonna get in the house?
Yes.
The basement door?
Yeah, the slider. No.
Like where the pool table is, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that.
Right, that's real important.
I should remember that.
That's cool. Thank you.
The detective immediately gets up and returns to Taylor to confront him for leaving out important details.
I remember at one point, Nick calling his little brother.
Yeah, he called his brother.
What did he tell him? What did he ask him?
Brother didn't pick up.
How about before that? Did he get a hold of his brother and say leave the back door open?
Yes. He did.
Alright, that's the stuff, man. You can't keep doing that to me. You gotta be 100% true with me. Alright?
Yes.
Okay. I don't
I
think
thought you meant after.
Okay. At any point. I want you to think about it. This is a murder. 4 people have been murdered.
Yes.
2 little boys, a mom and dad.
Yes.
There's nothing more serious than this right now. Okay. Think about it. I'll be back talking a little bit. Don't want you to lie to me. You don't want that to happen to you.
I thought you were talking about after.
Okay, I understand.
I'm sorry.
Given that Taylor is a minor here and without a lawyer, the officer is making full use of his opportunity to incite fear and get him to tell the whole truth. He is being authoritative after building rapport with all the boys, so there is absolutely no chance of a contradiction in their statements.
You went upstairs, then you guys went outside apparently.
Right, went outside.
Where did you go?
Went out to the back, and then that door was unlocked.
It was unlocked.
It was unlocked, the basement side door.
Is that characteristically locked also, or do they always?
75, that's not, because that's sort of more the kids, basements. That's probably,
Okay.
it's more or less, it's not locked as often.
Okay. Man, if you had to make a guess how someone got in the house, how would you?
Probably the basement.
The basement. Okay. Did you talk to them by phone at all that night?
The plan was they were going to pick me up at, I think, 9 o'clock the next morning.
Okay. What was that? You guys had something to do, or?
Just clean the house, actually.
Clean the house. Okay. Did you talk to your brothers at all?
No.
Overnight. Okay. What time did you start calling the house?
This first call, I think we called just because the kids were to come over tonight and we're saying a little get together. And
Right.
I called it about 10 o'clock in the morning.
This morning?
This morning at my
Okay.
family's house phone. And I called their cell where I called all the numbers. Greg's cell, my mom's cell, dad's cell, work, even our Deep Creek house.
Oh, okay.
A whim.
Now that the officer knows the whole truth, he asks Nick about the basement door. As expected, Nick lies. By making the officer's job easy, Nick doesn't know he is falling into a cleverly planned trap.
I noticed we're being told there's a gun locker in the house.
In the basement.
What kind of guns your dad has?
2 pistol, a 40 caliber, 9mm, a little,
Do you know what kind they were? I mean, do you know guns at all?
a little Smith & Wesson, 2 both are Smith & Wesson. One was a gift from our uncle, who it's the pistol they use on the Boeing 747 things.
Okay.
So one of those, and then 30-06 rifle, a couple shotguns.
You guys hunt at all, or just?
He hunts. I found a couple times. More clay pigeons. We shoot those up at Deep Creek.
Okay. So pistol-wise,
9mm, 40 caliber,
is it something?
38 special. So
Is it a revolver? I mean, it's different.
There's a revolver. It's probably like a 2-inch barrel, and then there's this World War II old pistol.
Okay.
As Nick falls into his own trap of lies very confidently, he doesn't realize his friends are exposing his dark family secrets.
Anything else we need to talk about?
Yeah, I think I remember like the times more.
Okay.
You were talking about like abusing, like he told me that his dad just sometimes says like I don't know, when he got caught drinking or whatever. And his dad was like said something like you're a failure or something.
Okay, so you're degrading to him and stuff.
Yeah.
How did Nick do in school?
I think he does pretty well. He takes some like AP classes. Mostly GT, I think.
Okay.
Nah, he didn't say anything.
Did he talk about having issues with his dad or anything?
Nah, he said his dad's like really like hard on him though.
Seems like Nick does have problems with his father. Even though he is a good student, His parents' overbearing expectations from him might be a reason for his alcohol problem. However, this is not enough reason to kill a whole family. The officer will be very straightforward with Nick from this point onwards.
You said you had a good relationship with your dad. Was he hard on you at all or anything like that?
Like most, I mean, you know, we've had our issues, but
Okay. Your friends ratted jail and said you got caught drinking?
yeah.
The officer knows exactly how to get a confession out of Nick. So far, the friends had been showing loyalty and missing out on details about Nick's life, but not anymore. Nick now knows he is all alone in this. Not long after the unexpected turn of events, Nick admits to another lie.
Brian or someone told me that you called home and talked to Greg at one point last night.
Called him around. I think I called him. We walk around Spring Lake or Springdale.
Did you talk to your brothers at all?
No.
Overnight? Okay.
9, 10.
Okay. What did you tell him?
Told him, don't leave the back door unlocked.
Why'd you tell him to do that?
I was gonna go into the house and grab the keys.
I'm not trying to hit on you for driving a car. It's just...
It was stupid.
Right after catching another deception, the detective leaves for Alex, who is left alone to think of useful information for the investigation.
What else you think you need to tell me?
I don't know. He always says his brothers are annoying and stuff, and he says his mom drinks a lot.
That's how about the father?
I don't know. He just said he's really hard on him,
Okay.
and I guess he calls him Hitler. I don't.
Calls him Hitler?
Yes, because he's really hard on him.
Okay. And you're sure you didn't let on what was going on last night?
No, he said nothing. Like he was gonna do that.
Okay. All right.
The mother's abuse of alcohol is yet another red flag within the family. Her drinking problems hint at her absence as a parent, which the father tried to fill in. And apparently, he did not do a decent job.
Get your ride, you, Taylor, and your dad, and Ryan, too. All right, get you going.
Alex, Ryan, and Taylor are allowed to leave the police station. Nick is left all alone as a suspect in the murder of his own family. Soon, the officers will find a cold-blooded criminal trapped inside the body of a 15-year-old teenager. Nick is left to eat for 25 minutes. A boy whose family has been killed is peacefully eating burgers and fries. As he finishes devouring his food, Nick changes seats and sits comfortably with his legs up in the chair, showing disregard to the authority and clearly sending out the message through his body language that he doesn't care what happened a few hours ago. Not long after, Nick will be confronted by 2 officers who will treat him as a prime suspect in the case.
Why are you telling us this big story about going the keys when the keys are in the pocket of your jacket? The car keys.
Yes.
You had them the whole time?
I know, is that normal? As my president tell you that?
Again, an untruth. Why did you do this? You keep saying that.
Who did it?
How
Who would do it? What kind of person would do this?
I don't know.
What part of what we're saying don't you understand? Is there
I
anything?
don't see how one set of keys to...
Why are they under your bed?
My parents, if they want me to, to get... If this is a burglar, to get
Come
the
on.
keys.
That's
Come on. You're gonna have to do better than that.
So what's the threat here? If you take this to trial, I'm going to go to jail based on a set of keys?
No, that's not just a set of keys. There's a lot more than that.
What?
I'm not gonna sit here and tell
we
you
don't
everything.
do that.
I think I didn't do it. There's gonna be other evidence.
You did do it.
I didn't do it.
Nobody else did this.
How can you be so sure?
Because I've been a cop for 22 years and my intuition's pretty good. I've been to plenty of homicide scenes. I've been to plenty of burglaries. This wasn't a burglary. You're being given a chance to explain things. It happened for a reason.
There's no reason.
You just didn't? Yeah, you did. You did. No doubt in my mind. He did this. Who else would do it?
I don't know.
Drug murderers don't shoot children. They'll break into a house, shoot another drug dealer, but they won't shoot the kids.
The investigators have decided to be straightforward with Nick. However, it appears that this boy is a hard nut to crack.
There is no other explanation. Nobody broke into that house.
How do you know?
Nobody broke into that house.
How can you be certain?
We're 100% certain that nobody broke into that house.
Because we know.
But
We know. We're sitting here.
you're
We're telling
not
you.
God. You don't have cameras in my house.
I know that nobody broke into that house last night. Nobody.
For someone who's being accused of killing his family, Nick is taking it pretty well. He knows that the officers do not have enough evidence against him. His body language shows no sign of hesitation or nervousness as he bravely confronts the officer. His calm demeanor also reveals his narcissistic personality. Nick believes that his confidence is superior to the officer's intuition.
You haven't shed one tear for your family.
You were totally unemotional about this. You walk into a house, your whole family's murdered. And you're just, I didn't do it. Why would I do it? I was in my friend's house.
So crying would make you. Crying would make you believe that.
I think you're trying to convince yourself. You're doing a terrible job of convincing me.
I have to convince you.
Yeah, you do.
His little laugh shows he does not respect the authority figures in front of him. Nick knows he is trapped now, but is somehow dissociating himself from reality, a typical sign of antisocial personality disorder.
Sit down.
Sit down.
As the other detective leaves the room, Nick is left alone with the investigator he is comfortable with, who will now try and get a confession out of him.
You see, this is the first time. The first genuine emotion I've seen all night is coming now. What happened? Nick, what happened? I can tell you didn't plan this. Is it because you're a father?
Yeah, it was the straw. Yeah.
But why? Was it physical?
No, it's more sort of like a blast. Probably so. I mean, it wasn't. It was. They were physical. I'm in Boy Scouts, right? And excuse me.
It's okay, man.
So there's this I'm almost Eagle, I'm almost done.
You're just getting life.
Right, Life Scout. And then there's this leadership weekend camp out, whatever thing, and
Where was it?
this was Brownsea somewhere up in Africa, but anyways, I didn't want to go, I'm almost done, didn't need a leadership camp, so my attitude wasn't great on the trip.
You got pissed?
So he got pissed, and as we're coming home, he hits me,
Was he beating on you too, mentally, or?
it was mentally, and it's like, he got me a times, and that was the,
You're at Life Scout, You're at Life Scout, for God's sakes.
and so that was sort of the beginning, the beginning of it, and it's just,
How long ago was that?
that was this fall,
Okay.
last fall, and then
Kept it up then.
it kept going, and the little thing just seemed it always reverted back to that one thing, and then the alcohol thing happened. Then they called me taking out the car.
Oh, you got a call before.
Yeah, I got called before,
He threatened to keep it away from you.
right? And
But the whole time your grades are good. Everything else is.
grades were good. Last freshman year, I got a D one quarter, but then I got an A the next quarter, so I got a
You
B
made
in
it
it all. So that
But he's harping on the D.
right, I got on the D, and then he did, and he'd occasionally, I wouldn't call it huge physical beating, but I think
He's still uncalled for.
right, the emotional, I think when he hit me didn't bother me. It was the constant.
Did you do it in front of your friends too?
Never the hitting, but the yelling and the anger.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. And then for my birthday, which is
A couple days.
a couple days away, we were supposed to take friends up to Deep Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And this last weekend, he was uptight as usual. And
Did he drink or anything? Or?
no, it was never really alcohol. It was just he's overstressed, I think.
Okay.
He works and he gets up at 5 in the morning and comes home at 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
So then he sort of has Phil being nice to all his clients when he gets home. Takes it out, dinner not almost, but most nights.
Is he doing the same to your brothers? Or just you?
Maybe, but I didn't.
No.
It didn't seem like that to me, but
To your mother at all?
yeah, but a little bit. But the bulk seemed to be generated towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday night, he was just mad. I don't even know why he was mad. And then I was giving directions on how to get around Fingal's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
Lost it?
blows out or something. It didn't hit me. He just gets really angry. And we didn't even get lost. He went 2 feet past a turn and just had to make a tight turn.
Come back.
And then you have to put the car in reverse. He got really angry. And then I went back to get the car. And I saw him sitting on the couch. The TV was on. And I knew the gun was out on the workshop bench.
Mm-hmm.
I walked up. I sat there for a half hour.
He was sleeping?
Standing over him. And then I went between putting the gun up to his head and pulling it back down and up.
Do you have a pillow up too? Or?
Yeah, just the gun. The gun was. I'm not sure if I meant to pull the trigger or if it
Just went off.
It just. And then once that happened, I freaked out, but then I thought, it'd all come down, but I don't even know if they woke up or whatever, but. So I sat on the couch and they were up, and I couldn't realize I couldn't just walk away from that. And then I shot my mom. And then
She's still sleeping?
yeah, I waited for a little bit, then I think she went back to sleep. I shot her.
Why the brothers, man?
I thought if no one was there to say anything that my story would go because I was the only one. Just got scared.
After this horrific confession, Nick would be charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and will be sentenced to 4 life terms in prison. This is the voice of Jennifer Pan, who ordered a hit and kill in her own home.
You're swearing to tell the truth about what you're going to talk to me about. And it's also going to explain to you the penalties for not telling the truth. I don't expect you to help me, but for a homicide investigation, anyone who's very close to the investigation, we do this with. Okay? So this isn't suspecting that you're not going to tell the truth. This is more of a feature that you understand the importance of telling the complete truth.
At this point, Jennifer is treated as a witness, so she is not being read Miranda rights because the officers do not suspect her as a murderer. The detective then leaves to get the Commissioner of Oaths. As he returns, the noise of the door opening startles Jennifer. This is defined as the startle reflex via auditory stimulus, which usually occurs after a traumatic event. Jennifer's hyperarousal indicates that she is traumatized, which makes the detectives treat her kindly until a shocking turn of events.
Probably around 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30. My mother she woke me up and she told me that she was going to visit my grandfather.
Jennifer explains the day to the officer, telling him how she took piano classes, learned piano history, and had dinner with her parents that night. She would then watch TV in her room and later prepare to go to sleep.
Suddenly, I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down, and that's when I lowered the volume on my TV, and I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And a guy was there, and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, "I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is." My mom kept trying to get up, and they kept telling her, "Sit down." And so I didn't want her to get hurt, so I told her, "Mom, sit down." They were trying to find her wallet, but her English isn't good, so she kept saying purse. They kept pushing her down onto the chair.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important, so take your time.
Until this point, both Jennifer's emotions and her statements align. Soon, things will take a bizarre turn.
They kept all the lights off on the main floor. The only time there was light was when they opened the fridge door to see if they could find where my mom's purse was and his wallet and where his wallet was. So they took me, because I was next to the stairwell, they took me up the stairs to show them where my father's wallet was, but I didn't know. They had turned the room upside down. I didn't know where his pants were at that time. They wouldn't let me come with them. And after they said, the last thing I heard them say was, "You lied to us. You lied to us." And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her. And a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
Slowly into the interrogation, Jennifer makes an effort to be as descriptive as possible, not realizing that a victim is not expected to remember the smallest aspects of the tragedy, like the fridge light that she mentioned. And then, Jennifer's lies will finally be revealed to the officer. However, he will make sure Jennifer doesn't know it yet.
I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there that they didn't know about. So I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there that they didn't know about. So when I thought that they had heard them all leave and my dad ran up the stairs, I whipped up the phone and I called 911. But I still hadn't heard anything from my mom, and all I could hear was my dad running on the street, just moaning and making sounds.
Jennifer then tells the officer about the tragic situation. According to her statement, 3 black men broke into her home. One black male with dreadlocks gets a hold of her and ties her hands behind her back. She claims to not recall the faces or the voices of the other 2 men. Then, Jennifer claims to hear pop sounds downstairs.
Do you hear yelling, "You lied to us," or to that extent? Number 3.
I'm assuming it's to my father, because he was the one asking for the wallet.
Now you hear this commotion downstairs. You said you heard 2 pops. And you heard who scream? Your mom. And what was she screaming? Do you remember?
I think it was kind of like a cry yell, so it was just...
The detectives then ask Jennifer if she had any idea why the tragedy happened to her family.
In your opinion, would cause people to target your house to think that there was a large quantity of money?
I'm not sure.
Now you say your mom drives a Lexus.
It could be because of the aesthetics, yes.
What about your dad?
He drives a Mercedes and he loves that baby.
Is that right?
He loves that baby. Jennifer smiles as she recalls her dad's Mercedes. However, almost immediately she realizes that she has a smile on her face and snaps back to an expressionless face. Jennifer will be called 2 days later to the interrogation room, but this time, the intention would be different. She is still treated as a witness in this investigation. The officer explains that this questioning session is meant to dig deeper into the details, not revealing that Jennifer is now an unofficial leading suspect in this case.
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim, what do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi, xuống đây.
What does that translate to?
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Jennifer's sudden shift in emotion, as she tries to evaluate the officer's question, clearly demonstrates that she is faking her grief. This does not go unnoticed by the officer. Soon he changes the line of inquisition and pretends to be her therapist, giving her a chance to vent her frustrations. A few minutes later, Jennifer falls into the officer's emotional trap.
How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
Jennifer's parents had extremely high expectations from her and her brother Felix. As immigrants from the Chinese diaspora in Vietnam, both Han, Jennifer's father, and Bic Ha Pan, Jennifer's mother, worked day and night to be able to afford a large house with a 2-car garage. The Pans picked up and dropped Jennifer from school and monitored her extracurricular activities very closely, a classic example of tiger parents. Both Han and Bic did not realize that Jennifer had been forging her report cards and living a double life. It got to an extent where Jennifer faked a scholarship in the pharmacology program at the University of Toronto. She faked textbooks and watched videos online related to pharmacology to make notes only to convince her parents. Later, Jennifer would ask her parents' permission to live with her friend who resided closer to her college. In reality, she would be living with her on and off boyfriend, Daniel Chi Kwong Wong.
You're telling me that you had no involvement in what happened. Meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money.
A straightforward question is asked from Jennifer. Notice how her expressions seem genuine as she clearly panics, slowly realizing that her story no longer works in front of the officer.
Say this whole thing isn't a lie. That what you're telling me is a lie. Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I've ever faced in my life.
The officer purposely leaves huge silence gaps in the middle of the interrogation to give Jennifer some time to construct more lies until she finally breaks and contradicts herself.
Until your dad regains his back and being able to be spoken to, right now you're our only link to this case.
Her father had bullet fragments lodged in his brain. It was uncertain whether he will be able to ever speak again, considering irreversible brain damage caused by the bullets. Jennifer is left with a huge psychological pressure and is asked to return to the station, this time as an official suspect. But before we move forward with the next interrogation, it is crucial to note that Jennifer had been under strict surveillance before she was brought back to the police station. Not shedding a single tear, Jennifer had been looking down at the ground during her mother's funeral. On 16th of November, Jennifer's father, who miraculously survived and remembered the horrific incident, secretly gave his statement to the police officers. Most of what he claimed contradicted Jennifer's statements, especially that she was not tied up during the incident, but was freely walking around and talking to the intruders as if they were her friends.
You pick any job yourself. I'm not talking about anybody else, but if you could pick for yourself, what would it be?
A simple, maybe like a house technician job, work 8 hours a day.
This is exactly the answer that the detective was hoping for. Jennifer is not happy with her parents' choices for herself. Slowly, she will fall into the friendly trap of the officer, who seems genuinely interested in her likes and dislikes. This is probably the first time someone has cared about Jennifer's priorities. So she passionately answers the question, slowly confessing why she murdered her mother and almost killed her father.
So, eventually you were discussing Daniel. What happened with that relationship?
I hid it from my parents.
Okay.
And once they found out, they didn't like the fact that we were of mixed race.
Okay.
And they told me to stop seeing.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
Yes. He was the person who was filled an empty void, and I thought that a part of me was missing.
When you broke up, you felt the part was missing? Is that what you're saying?
When they first told me to talk to me, he kept talking to me. I felt like a part of me was missing. I wanted to break it.
How did they find out?
When Jennifer's parents discovered their daughter living with her boyfriend, she was given two choices. One, to completely cut off all contact with him and return home, or two, to leave her parents and be financially cut off. Jennifer chose neither and instead made a horrifying decision for herself. The detective then moves forward to finally confront Jennifer.
And I can understand why, okay? You've had a tough life. What's happened to you, to me, equates to abuse. And all the stresses that you've had and forced to lie, I can understand why you did it, okay? But you're in another situation here where you're under another tremendous amount of stress. And it doesn't feel good inside, does it? It breaks down the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're a good person, I know that. You've got a good heart. In this case, though, you've made mistakes, okay? And you're involved in that. I know that, okay? There's no question about it.
After a days-long investigation, Jennifer finally realizes that she failed to commit a perfect crime.
Woman being treated like a 15-year-old, okay? You've never done anything that terrible in your life, but you're being treated like you have. You're not being treated like the adult that you are. Yes, you made some mistakes, big deal.
The officer sticks to his therapist's character and tries to slowly get a confession out of Jennifer.
It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you. Tell me what happened.
I told you what happened.
All of it.
You did.
All you have to do is tell me right now. Bill, yes, I made a mistake.
Really, I made a mistake.
This plan was for my parents.
From this point onwards, the officer would get no further confession out of Jennifer, so he leaves the room and returns to tell Jennifer what will happen to her. She would be sentenced to life with no chance of parole for 25 years for the murder of her mother and attempted murder of her father. Her accomplice would also receive the same punishment.